And it's me, your favourite person on the United stand at the moment, Mr. Maguire lover himself. Well, it's press conference time. It's kind of ironic that I'm doing this press conference reaction right now after what's gone on this week. But yeah, let's just delve into that a little bit before we start, shall we? Let's talk about what actually happened, because you know what? First of all, I'll actually watch a press conference before I start my video, so I get all the facts and things don't get elaborated at all in what's actually gone down. I know what happened. I was there at the press conference. Some people don't, but hey, we move on. Laughing, joking. It all came to pass, and last night, obviously, it was quite relevant because the hot topic in that game was a certain Mr. Harry Maguire. We'll get into that in a minute, but first of all, let's do what's necessary. Let's talk about what Ten Hag was talking about in his press conference today. Everyone was there. I seen the build-up on Sky. They were doing live feeds straight from Carrington like an hour before. It was big news because obviously United, with the amount of games we've got left and the competitions that we're still in, and now everyone's wanting to know what's happening with the squad and who is available. We could actually only have Lindelof as our only fit centre-back for that semi-final against Brighton because Maguire is suspended for that game, and we'll talk about that as well in a minute because Ten Hag has been on about Harry Maguire even not being available for that one. He's got to concentrate on what's ahead of him. So guys, get your thoughts in the comments section. Go easy. You have to obviously know the facts before you start making stupid, outlandish comments, especially regarding me. I'm okay. I'm a big boy. I can take all your stick and then give it back, which I might do, but we'll see. Let's get into the news first, because that is what you're all waiting for, obviously. And all of these quotes are on the United Stand Twitter feed, everything from today's press conference. So if you want to know everything and a little bit more on what I'm going into right now, just jump across. I'm there right now. Obviously, first question comes about, it has to be about Lisandro Martinez, straight to the point. This is why I thought it was strange that Ten Hag didn't do his pre-match press conference on the back of the Europa League last night. He usually does, but he's been back in training today, back at Carrington, and obviously wanted to do his own press conference ahead of the game against Nottingham Forest. Maybe he was hoping that we were going to have a little bit more detail on a couple of injuries, but Erik Ten Hag on injuries. Sorry, no, it's not even been 24 hours, so I don't have a complete diagnosis, so I can't tell or comment on this anymore. That was regarding Lisandro Martinez. Obviously, it was devastating last night for all of us Manchester United fans, watching him go off on a stretcher, carried off by his Argentinian teammates. It wasn't good news for United, and obviously everyone was thinking the worst. Another one would be Erik Ten Hag on Maguire and Lindelof having to fill in, was the question. Decent centre-halves, decent, he said. They proved it in the past, and this season we have 4 or 5 very good centre-halves, so they can do the job. I mean, everyone's got their opinion on who's better, who'd you rather come in, who'd you rather not be at Manchester United, but Ten Hag now has to trust in who he's in front of him, who's left in the squads. Bare bones again, as we know, but this is it. And it does seem like nearly every single question from the press conference was going to be aimed at what defenders do you have available? Is anyone fit? Is anyone coming back close, or is anywhere near close to returning? Erik Ten Hag, we have 2 sessions to go, so I don't know. I don't know now, but it can be Scott, it can be Luke. We will return to the squad, but not sure. Alluding to Scott McTominay playing at centre-back there. Luke Shaw moving back into centre-back. I mean, guys, get your comments in. I'm just going to flip back over. It's a tough one. It really is hard to take because the game last night, when you look at it, it was done and dusted. I want to get into the game in a little bit, actually. I just want to get a few more quotes. It was done and dusted, and apart from Varane coming off at half-time, I think everyone was quite comfortable with the options that we had. I mean, Maguire's not done bad alongside Martinez this season. And I think everyone was... I think if there was one centre-back you could live without out of the 2 of Martinez and Varane, I think every United fan would say, I'd rather have Martinez available. He seems to be a good balance for whoever he plays alongside and how they play and what type of defender they are. And I think that's testament to him and how good a centre-back he is and what Manchester United are going to be missing now over the coming weeks. It does look like it's a season-ending injury. I mean, it was confirmed last night. I don't know if anyone has said any more on it, apart from Ten Hag, I doubt it in terms of the severity of it. But it was said last night that it wasn't an Achilles, which is good news for Manchester United. It means we can scratch off the worst case scenario for it. But a tendon, still, it's going to be a long time out. He's on crutches. There is talk of metatarsals. His sixth metatarsal, I heard. I think we're getting complicated. We're going down the roads of Becks again here before the World Cup, aren't we? David Beckham, the man who made the metatarsal famous. Yeah, but that's what the talk is right now. And I think everyone's looking at it going, I'd rather it be a break than a ligament. I'm agreeing with that. I mean, I've done my ankle ligaments and it's not nice at all. So, yeah, if it does mean that Leacher is out for the rest of the season, but we get him back for the start of the season, after last night, I probably would have taken that. I would snatch your hand off at that, because what I was watching was a man that knew his season was over, and if it was bad ankle ligament damage, then you probably would have been looking in missing pre-season, missing the start of next season, the preparations which are already up in smoke because of the ownership nightmare that's going on right now, and knowing exactly what's going to happen there by the time the season starts, or even the summer to that matter. And you know what? It was like, now we're getting key players missing. The preparation just couldn't get any worse for Ten Hag. It could really scupper our end to the season. We could then go into the pre-season on a downbeat note when it's been such a good season. But you've got to look at it and go, well, if he's back for the start of next season, I'm taking that. That's what I thought straight away when I heard the news. I was thinking worst case scenario. So, yeah, I'm snatching that with two hands. I really am. Right. Let's get into a few comments there, I say. Maguire gets to start now, Adam, laughing out loud. Yes. Did anyone here actually watch the press conference? Maybe go and see what Adam really asked. Yes, that's a very, very good comment there. Adam, we will see Maguire keep his place now. Winking emoji. It's a lot going on here. There's a lot, like, it's not even relevant to the importance of what today is and finding out if we've actually got a team to play or put out on the pitch at weekend. But I'm going to get into it. I'm going to get into a few more of what Ten Hag was talking about. Eric Ten Hag says Luke Shaw and Scott McTominay could return Sunday's game against Nottingham Forest. Like I said then, both of them can play centre-back. Our options for us going forward, especially the Brighton game, now looks like a bit of a worry. Even when we're talking about Maguire being missing, you do actually need an actual centre-back to play for you. So how we've gone from having an abundance and having different combinations of centre-backs to having one in the space of a week is a little bit unlucky. It's a little bit crazy, and you just can't predict that in a season. You can't. I think United have been really unlucky with injuries this season. And Ten Hag started getting questions about last night again. This is why I thought, do you know what? It's like, this is why the press conference should have happened last night for me. There was no need for it to be this morning, I don't think. I think it's added extra sort of spice to everything going on. And I don't think it's really needed. I don't. But he's talking then after the injury updates, because he's blown everyone out with them, said there's no updates at all. It's not even been 24 hours, as you know. But then went on to last night, and conversation started in the press conference regarding what actually went wrong last night. But Eric Ten Hag on last night, I think you see, first half, we were in a really good shape. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Anthony Martial, Marcel Sabitzer did really well. Bruno, very good, and Anthony Martial as well. Rafa and Leacher, there were many positives about yesterday's game. I mean, he's picking out individual performances there as well as team performances. I thought we were in complete control of the game. I really did. I thought it was Manchester United's game to go and score as many goals as they wanted in the end. He was then asked about Martial. In the individual prospect, we know when there's a lot of load. He gets injured, and we have to build it. It's this Ten Hag sort of talking here, especially when the games come quick. So basically, Eric Ten Hag, when he's talking about Martial, he's saying Martial can only play 60 minutes. We have to nurse him back best we can. Ideally, he would have liked to have had a few more players available to nurse Martial back. It now looks like we're relying on Martial, and there lies the problem. And what I want to talk about next, actually, because a lot of people going in on Ten Hag and Ten Hag being the problem about why everything went wrong last night. We were 2-0 up and we're making substitutions that everyone in the United fan base has been crying out for the last 2 months in terms of resting players and giving them the chance. 2-0 up and we're bringing off Jadon Sancho and Anthony Martial. We know Martial needs to be nursed in, and that's why, and like Ten Hag has said in his press conference today, we have to manage his load. We cannot overcook him. And the fact that Martial came off after an hour, I thought was a big positive for United last night. Really big. Came off. We were told by United staff, if you watched my fan vlog after the game, we were told by United staff last night that he was the last to leave Old Trafford because he was sat in an ice bath. Not good if he's having to do that after an hour's play. And I don't even want to think about the possibility of Martial being out for any of these games coming up. There was some better news regarding Marcus Rashford as well. So we might get him back, which will help us massively. Definitely in terms of pace going forward, because if Martial can't play and Weghorst plays, we sort of lose all that. We lose that sharpness, I feel, going forward. And we've seen how well Martial linked in last night. So when it came to the substitutions, Sancho, who was struggling big time, I don't think anyone can deny that. I think he was struggling to track his man back. There was a moment in the second half where the fullback just went completely past him. He didn't track back. He looked like he was blowing a little bit, to be honest. I don't know if there's a fitness problem there with Jadon, but that was a substitution I thought, that's reasonable. I can see that totally. Martial, we know, that's another one. I can give you, if anyone who's having a go at Ten Hag, I can sort of see where you're going from with Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes definitely is a weird one for me. I don't know why Bruno came off, to be honest. He doesn't rest Bruno. He never rests Bruno. And yeah, I've been told in my ear there he got a warning that he was going to get sent off. I still don't believe that. Yeah, I mean, I can't honestly go with that. The referee was brandishing yellow cards. I mean, Bruno is suspended for the next game. It was ironic that we ended up with 10 men anyway, after making substitutions, and we ended up with 10 men because we made substitutions, thinking that we was going to get a player sent off. That's how unlucky you are, and that's how unlucky Manchester United were last night. So, yeah, I mean, Ten Hag substitutions, the Bruno one, yeah, he might have been berating the referee. He might have been trying to prove a point that he shouldn't have had a yellow card. It was a ridiculous yellow card in the first place. I don't understand it, but we know what referees are like, especially UEFA referees, for definitely giving handballs at Old Trafford anyway this season. We all know what happened in our first Europa League game with Leacher, that ridiculous handball for the penalty, which gave us 2 extra games to play, hampered us in terms of this load of games. So big decisions have happened this season that have not helped Manchester United, but everyone going in on Ten Hag and blaming him solely for what happened last night, I think we can actually look at the team. Sevilla had what? 1 shot on goal. That was with 85 minutes on the clock, and it was 2-1 at that point. And that effort that they had on goal wasn't even the one that they scored. What even the effort they scored? 2 own goals in the last 5 minutes, and everyone's starting to blame Ten Hag for his substitutes. If we'd have seen that out, everyone would have been going masterclass. Brilliant from Ten Hag. He's actually seeing it now, and players are actually getting a rest when we need a rest. And Manchester United, they've got a few players now looking fit for the weekends. That's how I seen it. I thought, brilliant. Exactly what we need. And then, obviously, we just lost control of the game. It was a weird one because we just seemed to just have nothing going forward. And I understand people saying that's the problem there. That's where it all went wrong. Ten Hag substitutions, when Martial came off, we just didn't have that link up, and Weghorst didn't do as good a job. I mean, Weghorst I thought was quite effective when he came on. I thought he should have had an assist because Malacia should have done a lot better with that chance. So he was involved. We just switched off for a couple of moments. Well, we switched off for one moment, which was Tuel Malacia, and that cost us dearly because that gave them that impetus, that gave them that little bit of motivation. The fans were up in their corner, and they thought, you know what, let's just go for it. We've got nothing to lose. Then we got the injury to Martinez. And it was just a conveyor belt of catastrophe from that point. Nothing was going right. None of the decisions were going our way. And when you end up with 10 men with 5 substitutes, Well, you've got 5 substitutes to use. You end up with 10 men because you've got an injured player and you've used all them substitutes, and you concede 5 goals. You concede 2 goals in the last 5 minutes, both own goals. Then you've got to just say, look, sometimes it doesn't go your way. You've just extremely unlucky, which Manchester United were. We were insanely unlucky last night, and it just all collapsed on us. And Ten Hag has taken a lot of flack for it. I just think it's unfair, and I don't think he should be blamed. A lot of people are, and there's no way you can sort of break that game down last night. And everyone walking out of Old Trafford, I'm talking to journalists, I'm talking to the United staff that we've seen in the mixed zone, and even the players when they walked out, because all the players walked past us, and they just looked as perplexed and dejected as we, as fans, would. They were just like, no one could figure out what happened in that game last night. It was just a mad last 5 minutes, and there's no one to really blame. The switch off from Malassi, you could probably say was an error, but it's just like, for instance, talking about Harry Maguire. Yes, here we go, people. It's Maguire time. It is Maguire time, yeah. So, I mean, did anyone actually think that Maguire had a bad game when he came on last night? I thought he was doing all right, to be honest. I mean, get your comments in now. I mean, up until the unfortunate header, please tell me someone, was Maguire having a bad game? Were we not still in control at that point? Someone in with a super chat, cheers for that. Vegas, choose the worst option to pass. Obviously, from where I was sat, it looked like the right option because it looked like he had a crowd in front of him. And it's one of them, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. He had to make a point, he had to make a decision, and I thought it was the right one. I thought Malassi was in a better position, but you may think differently. Maguire is always all right, whatever happens to the team. For God's sake, I won't say the other one. For God's sake, Adam, he's average at best. I'm not saying how he is. I'm asking the question, was he having a bad game last night, people? That's what I'm saying. Try and tell me that he was horrendous last night. Try and tell me that he was horrendous. I mean, there was a moment there, it's like the cross comes in, a 50p head from there forward, and then it hits Maguire's head and goes in past David De Gea. I'm like, I can't speak. It's Harry Maguire. Bloody Harry Maguire. That's what I was thinking, exactly. I was in full-on Goldbridge mode. Maguire's, and I've seen the headlines just pop up in front of me. I was like, you've got to be, you know what, it's midday, but you've got to be shitting me. That cannot be happening right now. After everything that's happened this week, it had to just go in off that corner of Maguire's head and crawl past David De Gea. I mean, I was at that, just before the Malassia incident, I was there writing up 21 clean sheets for De Gea, thinking, this is what I'm going to be talking about, a controlled, perfect European night football for Manchester United. And then we had the Goldbridge moment. I was like, what is going on? What has happened in this game? What has happened in this game? And no one around me could describe what had happened. No one knew how we gave that game away. It was just one of them horrible moments in football. And you know what? I said it in my vlog afterwards. I think everyone got carried away with what happened on the night, because United can still turn this around. Of course we can. We can go to Seville and win and get into the semi-final. But I think it's what's happened and what we're having to deal with now. It's like the aftermath and what's happened in that game, and now looking ahead in the long run with the injuries and everything like that. Was last night the moment when United's season completely turned on its head? There was just, the momentum was going up, and in the space of 5 minutes of football, everyone is thinking the worst. Everyone is thinking we can't survive now without Martinez and Varane. It's crazy because I've seen stats go up this morning. This proves that stats are crap, to be honest. Because Manchester United with Martinez is worse than Manchester United without Martinez. Now go figure that one out. So you can stick your stats up. Oh, where the sun doesn't shine. No more swearing now, promise. You can stick your stats where the sun doesn't shine, because Manchester United with Martinez are a decent and a lot better outfit. But the stats say we're better without him. Go figure. That's crazy. That's football. That's what it is. So, yeah, that's why I never really pay too much attention to stats like that. I mean, it's like the win ratio with Casemiro and without Casemiro. Yeah, it is better. But no one's talking about the three wins we had in the 4 games without him, are they? They're always looking for that other point, and that's why stats can just fill an agenda and actually back an argument in different ways. It's ridiculous, and I just feel like everyone is looking at it the wrong way right now. We're still positive. We've still got players to come back, and I feel like what happened in terms of the injuries is just sort of making last night's result, which was just pure unlucky, making it look worse. That's how I see it. Super chat in from Mohammed says, I have a feeling Malacia is carrying an injury. Don't say injury again to a defender, mate. That's like a swear word on its own right now for United. We can't afford any more injuries. I have a feeling Malacia is carrying an injury. The past 2 games, something seems off. His levels are much, much better comparing to his earlier games. His levels are much, much better even carrying an injury. I don't know if you meant, I sort of get what you meant there, mate, but yeah, I think it just came out and was written the wrong way. Emily Derry says, with another super chat, cheers. The problem with Maguire is that he doesn't naturally suit how Ten Hag wants to play, so he looks out of place. I think Harry Maguire. Oh, Maguire. Why? Harry Maguire didn't do anything wrong last night, and no one would have even been talking about him if we'd have just seen that game out and we didn't have them 2 moments of madness. Because everything was fine. His positioning was fine. He was decent on the ball. There was a moment, I think inadvertently, I will say, where he took 2 midfielders out of the game and carried the ball into the opposition's half at one point. I'm 100% certain that he didn't mean it, honestly, but he still did it. And I thought he was all right. He's going to have to be on point now, though, because I think he will be targeted by a lot of teams going forward. I think pace-wise, I think United have to have their wits about them. And maybe, like the super chat said there, maybe Ten Hag will have to change tact a little bit. It may have to be a little bit different. And how we go about it, I don't know. Who partners him? Who plays against Brighton? Wow. Imagine that having Martinez, Varane and Maguire for that game. Interesting, because no one said anything about Varane yet. And I think, again, a pointless press conference because it was inconclusive. All he was doing was talking about what happened last night again. There was no point in that press conference today. So, no updates on the injuries. Still know that they're bad. That's all we know. Varane, no word on that one is probably more concerning, I think. But I think in the next couple of days, I think even possibly before the Nottingham Forest game, we might find out a little bit more regarding how long Martinez is going to be out for, the severity of the injury. Hopefully, it's precautionary with Varane. If he's fit, you've always got Luke Shaw who can come in at centre-back as well. I don't think he's a million miles away. If Rashford then comes back, it's not as bad. It's not as bad as it as first thought. And obviously, fresh off the game last night, probably I myself was being carried away with the doom and gloom side of things and how unlucky we were. But I do think that we are still going to be okay. I think we've got to feel confident still and positive going forward. And I think we've got more than enough to get through these couple of games. Hopefully we can get Shaw and Varane back. And if, like Ten Hag says, Rashford is close to coming back, we've got enough. We have got enough. I'm confident in that. Even Casemiro's played at centre-back, for God's sake. So we've got an option, haven't we? At least Casemiro's back. That's what I'll say. Adam, do you like Maguire as our captain? No, it's very well documented that I like Bruno Fernandes as captain. I do believe that a decision needs to be made on that, and hopefully it will happen in the summer. I think Bruno should be the captain going forward, I think simply because he plays more for one, which is an essential as a captain. And we know Maguire's 4th choice behind Shaw for big games, as centre-back that is. And that for me says alone, who plays the most games? Bruno. Central position, Bruno. I'm not saying that's what a captain should be in that area. It could be a fullback, could be a striker, could be a goalkeeper. But I just feel like with Bruno, the influence he has, if He's loved at the football club. Every player speaks highly of him. He's helped a lot of new players come into the club. When we spoke to players and interviewed players here on the United Stand, they spoke highly of him. I just think he fits the bill, and his work ethic and his drive is everything to me. So yeah, that's where I am. Casemiro will boss it next game, says Stuart. Yes, he will. If Rashford comes back too early, we will ruin him. That's a good point there, actually, from Jerome in that chat. He goes on to say, what about Zidane Iqbal in midfield? Some of these players are going to have to take a chance. That's what we'll say. But on that one there, if you'd have told me Marcus Rashford is due to come back, but there's a chance that we're actually risking it, he's going through the pain barrier, no. Keep him on the sideline. I don't care. I'm sick of ruining players' career. I mean, we've seen what it did to Rashford. We lost him for a whole season, pretty much last season. His confidence was down. He was flat. He was playing injured constantly under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I just think we just need to look after the players. That's what we have to do right now. And other players have just got to step up. And if anything, it just goes to show that the depth, the squad depth and where United need to be investing is put out there even more. And maybe a silver lining from it is that they do go out and invest more in the right areas this summer. Super chat in from Stephen Rossi says, Maguire is not directly responsible for the goals, but he did fail to organise the back line and allowed Seville to apply too much pressure. Organise the back line. You could say that. It's a fair comment. I think every player will be looking at themselves and asking, could we have done a little bit more last night? Could have been a little more on it. That's what I'm saying. Chat there. Adam out. Another one underneath it saying Adam in. I'm swerving you. It's all coming now. Another one with Adam in. These hashtags, the killers, aren't they? But yeah, regarding that press conference, actually, I didn't even ask a question about Maguire. It came right at the end as like a little sparing moment comment, and for some reason that's all that was clipped up. There was another two questions before it, but yeah, the important one is Maguire and that epic meltdown from Mr. Goldbridge. Completely overcooked that, by the way, Mark. Jeez. Anyway, it is, you've got to laugh about these things. You do in our position anyway. You know what, it was like, I mentioned it a minute ago, we stood in the mix zone last night and the players walking out, it was like no one was talking, obviously. A bad result, it's usually the case in the mix zone. No one wants to say anything, but you could just see, it looked like the players were angry. You could see it in the face. You knew that they'd let us down. And being up close and seeing them walk out and, you know, walking straight past the fan, it's like they'd let us down last night. That's the feeling I got. That's what I cling on to as a fan. It's like when I see the players are as angry, and when getting told, and Ten Hag's being told that we've got two players that are basically going to get sent off unless they shut up. You can see the passion is there. You can see the will to win. That's what I like in, and that's what gives me confidence going forward as well. Because I look at this Nottingham Forest game now this weekend and I go, fighting for relegation and going to throw everything at Manchester United. If there was ever a game to go into and just be even more switched on, it'd be this one now after what's just happened in that last 5 minutes against Seville. So I look at it and I go, actually, you know what? That tough game against Forest now, that's going to put them players on edge now to a point where it's like, I ain't going to let that happen again. They're thinking we'd just give away our chance of silverware possibly there. I'm not letting that happen again. I know we can't. I know as a professional you're supposed to be on it every single game. But when you were that unlucky last night, and like players were thinking there, and I'm sure they would have been thinking, it's like the man said in the comment section where he said, Maguire could have organised the back line a little bit better. Malacia should have just switched on for that moment. The anticipation, Jadon Sancho running forward, instead of trying to take the play on, could he have played it into Bruno more? Should we have been 3-0 up? An inch either side of that, an inch inside of that post, and Anthony's goal goes in. It's 3-0, Seville collapse. Fine margins. I remember saying it last night in the vlog after the game. Fine margins is everything in this game. At that level, even how crap Sevilla are in the league, they've still got players on that pitch that are good enough to take advantage of a mistake like we made. Tiny little errors in our game cost us, and in the end, it's put a bad taste in the mouths of a lot of United fans. We'll get over it, and a win against Forest at weekend will definitely go a long way as to easing the pain from last night. And then we can look fully ahead to Cup week next week, Brighton and Sevilla. Well, let's see now what we're on. So, we've got Nottingham Forest. So, yeah, we're in the space of 10 days. I think we're going to know where our season is going, because that's a tough game against Brighton. And obviously, going to Sevilla, where we've got a poor record as it is, I don't want to be too negative, but the outlook of Manchester United's season will look very clear, especially with players' injuries and these 2 cup games next week. Let's confirm top 4 with a win against Forest. I think we need, what? I would say now Manchester United need about 10 points. I think that will be enough. With the games that the other teams around us have got to play, which are very, very tough, I do believe that we need another 10 points. So I think another 3 wins, I think we'll get Manchester United through. William, with his first super chat on the United stand, cheers very much, mate. Lindelof is good. It's just every time he gets to play, it's with Maguire. Ooh, he's throwing Maguire under the bus there with that one. No, that's just a silly comment. I'm not reading that one out. I got into Ten Hag's head with Maguire. It wasn't my fault Varane got injured, was it? Let's be honest. I mean, I was chuffed with the team when it came out last night, the lineup. But it just seems to be the United way. The United way is the difficult one. We don't seem to do things easily. We haven't got that 3 or 4-0 easy win in our locker, and we have to just grind out results constantly. Until we can play Ten Hag football properly, we're just going to have to live with this. It's just going to be tight and tense all the way through to the end of the season. Like I said, the roller coaster ride, I mean, wow, it's like that big one breaking down the other day, isn't it? United don't even have a normal roller coaster. There's a breakdown on it, and then they have to fix it. It goes again. It's just constant issues, and the fixture list piling up alongside it with these injuries is just another hurdle that we're going to have to get over. And that's what we've got to look forward to. I will be back, obviously, at this weekend. It's Forest. I'm travelling down, hopefully talking positive like I did then with a win over Forest. And the road trip will be back, obviously, as well on Sunday. Guys, hopefully you've not taken it too bad and you're feeling confident still. Think positive going forward into the Forest game. We get a win there, we can forget about this Seville game a little bit and then use that confidence going in to our away form in Europe, which, by the way, this season is exceptional. So let's not be too downbeat. I think we're doing good away from home in Europe this season, and I think we can take that into this game next Thursday, hopefully off the back of a win against Forest. But guys, cheers for watching. Like, share, subscribe to the United Stand. Like I said, I will be back, and the usual schedule will return tonight as well. Cheers, everybody. Have a good weekend. I'll see you on Sunday.